Huh, Tristan Blaze 1 back again with another Legacy deck tech. This, if you don't know what it is and you play Legacy, there's a big problem. This is Death and Taxes. This is White Weenie. Now, surprisingly, it's one of the really, really expensive decks to play. I actually got into it. I read on Magic the Gathering Salvation on the forums a long time ago when it was in the budget thread. By budget, we're not talking that much money. How budget was it? Well, see these 3 copies of Caracas, I bought 2 of them when they were $10. Now they're running about $80 a piece. So it was kind of budget, you could say, for a while. Until, like, a lot of things jumped up in price. I mean, most notably, obviously, Wasteland and Rashad and Port became really expensive. And then, of course, Stoneforge, Mystic being, in a lot of decks now in Legacy. I've even seen some affinity decks that are running Stoneforge just to get cranial plating, which I think is actually pretty funny. So, anyways, get right into the meat of the deck. It's a mana denial deck. So you start out with basically, it's like playing Vile Goblins, but it's white. So you got our 10 plains, 4 Rishadan ports right there. You got your 4 wastelands. There's your mana denial plan. Then you got Caracas. Caracas is used for, well, basically protecting your legendary creatures such as Thalia, Mangara. So, I mean, right there, it's basic protection, but also it has the ability to get rid of, Emrakul, Grizzlebrand, legendary creatures that you really don't want your opponent to have. And we got our Horizon Canopies, which is another, it's a white mana source that can cycle, and it doesn't have the land type plains, so that does help. You got one Jite, whatever, I don't know. I'm not, I only spent 3 years in Japan. I can't understand how to pronounce Japanese words, apparently. I really can't. I don't know why, but it was 3 years in Japan. I served with the Marines. I can't pronounce a lot of Japanese stuff still. Although I did eat a lot of Pocky and learned a lot about Hello Kitty. That's about the limit of what I did. The Jit's great. You get your Jit with a Stoneforge, pop into play, equip it on one of your flyers, pop it on a Mirran Crusader, and you can go lethal relatively quickly with it. Batterskull is also a great piece of equipment. It comes into play already equipped to a creature, so you can Stoneforge Mystic it into play, and your opponent's turn. Okay, creature's been in your control since the creature was in your control before your last upkeep, so it doesn't have summoning sickness, so you can go ahead and attack with it. Lifelink, Vigilance, +4/+4. What's not to like? And then we got our Mirran Crusaders. This is actually one of the few cards from the new Mirrodin block that I really, really saw, and I said to myself, this is actually going to be really good. I just didn't know what to put it in. I mean, it's double strike 2/2, so if it's unblocked, you're hitting for 4. Put a Batterskull on it, that's a 6/6 double strike, lifelink, vigilance, you're hitting for 12, and you're gaining 12 life. That's insane. But the pro black and pro green are great because you run up against like Shardless Bug or Bug Delver. They're gonna run Abrupt Decay and they can't target it. They can't target it with Abrupt Decay, which is so great because Abrupt Decay just literally just kills so much in Legacy, and you can't counter it, which is just, I wonder why Abrupt Decay isn't as expensive as I think it should be, which makes me want to go out and buy a couple of copies. But still, great card. Flickerwisp, Another great card. This is, I would say, if you want to learn how to play Death and Taxes, learn every trick with Flickerwisp before you actually start playing it. Learn what you can abuse Flickerwisp with, okay? Flickerwisp, number one, 3 mana. Okay, if you don't have an active vial, it's 3 mana. You can go ahead and you can bring Flickerwisp into play by hard casting it, exile one of your lands, and then it comes back into play. It comes back untapped, so you end up getting a 3/1 flyer for really only 2 mana. So now you have an extra mana available during your opponent's turn to say, you know, port them, or plow a creature, or, you know, use Stoneforge Mystic and drop an equipment into play, something like that. Okay? It can basically just go ahead and abuse Mangara, okay? You put Mangara's ability on the stack. Boom. Respond to it being on the stack by just dropping the Flickerwisp into play, only with Aether Vial in this situation because it does not have flash. Targeting Mangara, remove Mangara from the game until the end of turn, but still remove the permanent you're targeting. That's a great way to abuse Mangara if you don't have Karakas. Then you got Fiend Hunter, the singleton, the 5th sword to Plowshare. Do the same thing. Fiend Hunter comes into play, remove target creature from the game. When it comes back into play, or when Fiend Hunter leaves, the target creature remove comes back. Fiend Hunter's ability goes on the stack. Respond. Violent Flickerwisp. Okay? Targeting Fiend Hunter. Fiend Hunter leaves play. Now the stack is going to be comes into play ability, leaves play ability in that order. The leaves play ability gets to resolve first. Nothing was removed, so nothing comes back. Now the comes into play ability resolves, you permanently remove a creature. And now at your end step, guess what happens? Fiend Hunter comes back, hey, let me take another creature while I'm at it. So you can get 2 creatures. Just boom, just like that. And then Thalia. So many decks in Legacy just hate this card. It's 2 mana, it's a 2/1 first strike. I mean, right alone, first strike is great. Goblins, you know, unless Goblins has some sort of way to just deal the damage outside of combat, this can block almost any Goblin unless you have a Lord out, like a Goblin Chieftain. So, unless you got a buff for your Goblins, this can take any of your Goblins out. And it's also great because so many decks are very, very efficient. I mean, Legacy is built on efficiency. And literally having to spend 1 mana more does really reduce how fast your deck is going to be. It reduces how many spells you can cast. It reduces, you know, how good a Brainstorm is, or a Sword to Plowshare, or a Lightning Bolt. You know, anything like that. It really reduces the efficiency of it, and it slows decks down so much. Combo in general is slowed because, I mean, I play combo, and most of my combo decks are meant to be really fast, of course. But this slows them down so much. It's just really, really brutal. And I really can't say enough about it. It's just a great card. Then we got our Stoneforge Mystics. This helps you find your Batterskull, your Jit, and your equipment in the sideboard. So good. I do believe this was banned at one point in time. I think it might actually be banned in Modern. Not that I really give a shit about Modern, but I think it is banned in Modern. I'm not sure. But if it is, that just shows you how powerful the card is. Really great. It's a tutor that can then just get around counter spells by just basically just, you know, dropping the equipment in. What do you want? You've got swords, you know, the various swords from both of the Mirrored and Blocked. You got Batterskull, Jit, Manriki, Gusari, I believe, is Savers of Kamigawa equipment that destroys equipment. So I mean, you can get literally so much stuff, and it's brutal because you can open up with, say, like Rashidin Port Vial, and then drop a land. Next turn, tick your Vial up to 1. you know, port your opponent's land, and then next turn, you know, oh, put Stoneforge in and go for that Batter Skull, and then be able to drop Batter Skull real early and put a lot of pressure on your opponent. Really, really amazing. Phyrexian Revoker. Yes, I own 4 foil copies in my Affinity deck. The reason why I grabbed 4 more copies that were non-foil, I don't see why. I don't see why this card is so cheap, considering what it does. I mean, it's 2 mana, a 2/1, okay, whatever. But the ability, it stops mana abilities. How many mana abilities can I think of? Lion's Eye Diamond. We have Mox Diamond, Chrome Mox, Lotus Petal, Elvish Spirit Guide, Tinderwall. We have Simian Spirit Guide. Okay, right off the bat, that's basically my Charbelcher deck. Okay, you have the ability to shut down Deathrite Shaman, the ability to shut down Grim Lavamancer. And the interesting thing is, if you actually read it as it enters the battlefield, I hate this camera, as it enters the battlefield, name a non-land card. Basically, it comes into play. Your opponent cannot respond to something. Like if my opponent has a Grim Lavamancer on the table, and I drop him into play and it resolves, then I name the card. It's already in play. I name the card. You can't use Lavamancer and say, okay, in response, no, you can't do that. So you either counter it, or you have to use whatever ability you think I'm going to call. Because the second it comes down, that's it. You can't use it unless you get rid of it again. And that's how it is. Also, interesting thing about Flickerwisp. This is really annoying when your opponent has stuff like Chrome Moxes and Mox Diamonds and certain cards that have drawbacks like that, because you can Flickerwisp any permanent. So you can Flickerwisp a Chrome Mox and it's no longer imprinted. But it's got to come back into play. And when it comes into play, your opponent has, well, they either lose a card and re-imprint it, or they get a piece of cardboard that doesn't tap for mana. Same with Mox Diamond. You either discard the land, if you have one, or it goes to the yard. Which is really fun. I mean, I run Dread still. You can Flickerwisp out a Dreadnought, and then, okay, you either got to stifle it again, or Vision Charm, or Trick Bind it when it comes back in. That's how it is. It's really funny. Use it on Engineered Explosives, Chalice of the Voids, opponent's Aether Vials, and just reset counters on it. Use it on your own Batter Skull. If your little Germ token died, just, Flickerwisp Batter Skull out. Comes back into play with that Germ token already equipped. So, I mean, this is like an MVP, and I'm debating going up to 4, but I don't know what to remove. But here's a new card. Spirit of the Labyrinth. Players may only draw 1 card a turn. Or, well, 1 card each turn. Now, remember, Horizon Canopy can be sacked and draw a card, so why would I run Horizon Canopy, which is a really good card. I got 4 of them. Surprisingly, in Future Sight, when it was standard legal, I was opening up a lot of Future Sight packs, really hoping for that Nimbus Maze and Graven Karns. And I kind of got screwed. I only got 4 Horizon Canopies, and I only got 4 Grove of the Burn Willows. So I was kind of pissed until I started looking at the prices, and then I said, well, I kind of came out ahead a little. You can use Spirit of the Labyrinth to stop your opponent's Brainstorms, Ponders, Jace of the Mind Sculptors, basically any type of cantrip as well. My all-in Belcher combo runs basically 12 cantrips, you could say, so that really, really just kind of wrecks it a bit. But you can activate Horizon Canopy at not the end of your turn, at your opponent's turn, or on your opponent's turn, and still get a card, because it's your opponent's turn, not your turn. Because the wording says each turn, which means you can draw 1 on your turn, 1 on your opponent's turn. I replaced Aven Mind Sensor with it. I'm testing it. If the testing doesn't go really well, I'm going to put it back in. I'm going to put Mind Sensor in, and this will probably be just a sideboard card. But, I mean, right now it's looking good some days. Other days it's, like why the hell is this even in here type situation. You know, time is going to tell. We got Mother of Runes. I remember when this first came out, it was so freaking annoying, dude. It was just like, I'm going to attack. Oh, I'll block with my Mother of Runes. And, oh, I'll give it pro whatever color it is. No damage. And then it was just, I'm going to attack. You play a monocolor deck. It's, oh, I'm going to attack with one creature. And give it pro that color. So it's like just always going to connect. It was just so fun. I mean, plus, you know, with Mirror and Crusader already having built-in protection, it's really, really funny because then you can give it pro something else and pro, you know, pro red or pro blue or even pro white if you're playing the mirror match. Which, I mean, the mirror match, I would say, comes down to who can get Mom out. Because that's basically how it's going to roll. If you can get Mother of Runes out and keep it out, you got a chance to win. Because all you got to do, okay, pro white everything, you know, and we're good. So that's, I mean, this is like literally a great card, and like, I've always loved it. I mean, it's just like, give anything protection from a color, you're awesome. That's all I gotta say. Our actual 4 swords to plowshares, of course, just basic removal, and our 4 vials. Cheat creatures into play so we can use our mana denial strategy to disrupt our opponent long enough to win. That's basically how it works. Like with Mangara's combo, put Mangara's ability on the stack, drop a Flickerwisp in with a vial, remove a target land or creature or enchantment, you know, what have you, and keep Mangara, or use Mangara's ability and then Karakas it back to our hand, once again removing a permanent and then vialing Mangara back out. So there's so many ways to abuse it. I really can't get into how easy it is to, or not easy, but how many ways you can abuse the various interactions. Moving into the board, my board is kind of stock. Some choices are basically what I have, and other choices are a little bit different. Obviously, Gut Shot, taking care of just random X1 creatures, Sunlands for those non-white creatures, extra copy of Jite, Monriki Gusari, basically just to kill other, basically just to kill other equipments. I mean, a decent buff, you know, +1/+2, not bad, you know, but mainly just to kill other equipments. Got our Grave Hate, 2 relics, 2 Rest in Peace. Got our 3rd Spirit of the Labyrinth. Once again, like I said, I'm testing it. I might just say, you know what, I really don't like it. If I don't like it, obviously the 2 in the main are going to be Aven Mind Sensors again. This is probably going to be a sword, more than likely Sword of Fire and Ice, or Sword of War and Peace maybe, I don't know, one of the 2. I like Sword of War and Peace's ability. Gain life for the number of cards in your hand, but deal damage equal to the number of cards in your opponent's hand. I mean, I kind of like that, but maybe. And the, you know, standard Relic Warder, you know, exile target enchantment or artifact. Once again, abusable with Flickerwisp. Just kind of gotta say that. Abusable with Flickerwisp. Have fun. Canonist for, basically Canonist. Canonist, I've always wanted to get Canonist. I just never had the, you know, chance to in recent decks I've been building. So this one gave me a chance to grab some Canonist. It's there for combo. It's there, you know, it's there to basically kind of like shut down a couple of decks. And then of course we got our Oblivion Rings, once again, abusable with Flickerwisp. There's so many cards that are just abusable, like rip permanents and basically just annoy people. I mean, this is how you really annoy people. This is like back when I played Stasis, where you just play this and then you win, and the guy playing against you or the girl playing against you just wants to punch you in the face when they're done. They just want to punch you in the face, and it is funny as hell. So this is what I got. I'm gonna have obviously I have a lot more decks if you've seen my gauntlet, so I'll have those out, but If you like it, subscribe and comment. Have a nice day, though.